Coffee is a strong part of our culture. For Italians, coffee is more than something to drink because it is an important moment in their everyday routine. According to recent studies, coffee was born in central Ethiopia. Many coffee brewing methods were developed to enjoy the real magic taste of coffee. So now, let's look into one of the biggest coffee houses in the world, Starbucks. Starbucks Corporation is an American multinational chain of coffee houses and roastery reserves headquartered in Seattle, Washington. As the world's largest coffee house chain, Starbucks is seen to be the main representation of the United States' second wave of coffee culture. As of September 2020, the company had 32,660 stores in 83 countries, including 16,637 company operated stores and 16,023 licensed stores. Out of these 32,660 stores, 18,354 were in the United States, Canada, and Latin America. Starbucks locations serve hot and cold drinks, whole bean coffee, micro ground instant coffee known as VIA, espressos, cafe latte, full and loose leaf teas including Tivana tea products, Evolution fresh juices, Frappuccino beverages, La Boulange pastries and snacks. The company is ranked 114th on the Fortune 500 and 288th on the Forbes Global 2000. The most surprising thing about the creation of Starbucks is how much of it happened by chance. That the three founders ever met in something of a wonder. Siegel and Boca were both Seattle transplants, and Baldwin was raised in the San Francisco Bay Area. They grew up in varied circumstances, and the differences in their personalities and skill sets would make their partnership work. Jerry Baldwin was born in the year 1942 in San Francisco, California, United States, to Roland Baldwin, a door to door milkman, and Patricia Brodeur Baldwin, who worked in data processing for the federal government and IBM. Baldwin found his life unsettled as a teenager when his parents divorced and his mother remarried. In the ensuing family disarray, Jerry bounced through three different high schools before enrolling at the University of San Francisco. Jerry Baldwin earlier was the founding chairman, also director of Technical Standards Committee, which is Specialty Coffee Association America, which was founded in the year 1982. Baldwin got Lifetime Achievement Award for Specialty Coffee Association America. Jerry is currently the director of a NGO, TechnoServe, which was founded by Edward P. Bullard in 1968. Gordon Boker was born in Oakland, California, and was just 3 months old when his father, Gordon Albert Boker, died serving in World War II. His submarine sank in the Straits of St. George of Papua New Guinea. The ship and crew were never found. Following the death of his father in World War II, Boker was raised by his mother, Hazel Ringseth Boker, in Ballard and Buren, Washington. He graduated from Odia High School in Seattle. From 1960 to 1965, Boker attended the University of San Francisco, where he was roommates with Baldwin. Boker dropped out 8 credits away from graduation. In 1968, Boker wrote educational film scripts for a division of King Broadcasting while making freelance contributions for Seattle Magazine. There, he met Terry Heckler, and the pair formed advertising agency Heckler Bocker. Bocker met David Brewster at the magazine years later, funding the launch of Brewster's Seattle Weekly and writing restaurant and hospitality reviews under the pen name Lars Henry Ringseth. Siegel was born on December 28, 1942, in Detroit, Michigan, to a Jewish family. His father, Henry Siegel, was a concert violinist who, starting in 1956, served as a concert master of the Seattle Symphony Orchestra for 26 years. His mother, Eleanor Siegel, was an educator and founder of the Little School, now located on a campus in Kirkland, Washington. Zev Siegel's family moved to Seattle from New York in 1956 when his father accepted the job of concertmaster for the Seattle Symphony. In New York, Henry had played for the NBC Symphony under conductor Arturo and served as a concertmaster for George Balanchini's New York City Ballet. Since 2013, Siegel has been sharing the entrepreneurship insights based upon his accumulated experiences by serving as a keynote presenter at major entrepreneurship and business conferences worldwide. Siegel also mentors MBA candidates at the two large universities located in Seattle, the Foster School of Business at the University of Washington and the Albert School of Business and Economics at Seattle University. And he also coaches selected first time entrepreneurs. One day over lunch and a bad cup of coffee, Barker flashed an idea. Why not start a coffee company in Seattle? Baldwin and Siegel liked the idea. Siegel was the champion researcher of the group in those pre internet days. At the library, through phone books and newspaper searches, he located a place that sounded like what they had in mind, a gourmet coffee company in Berkeley called Pete's. Alfred Peet was a Dutch immigrant who had begun importing fine Arabic coffees in the United States during the 1950s. In 1966, he opened a small store, Pete's Coffee and Tea in Berkeley, California, that specialized in importing first rate coffees and teas. Siegel phoned Alfred Peet, who was generous with information, and later arranged to visit. Siegel first visited Pete in December 1970. Later that month, Baldwin and Barker each made trips to Berkeley to briefly apprentice at Pete's and observe the business. Pete agreed to supply their fledgling company with fresh roasted coffee beans. Meanwhile, in Seattle, the partners had found the location they wanted, a corner storefront in the Old Harbor Heights Hotel at 2000 Western Avenue, just north of the Pike Place Market. As startup funding, each partner put up $1,500 and they finagled a bank loan for $5,000. And that's how the story of a great cup of coffee began. To save money, Siegel and Barker made outdoor signs for the shop. By the time they finished building fixtures, paintings, and getting permits, the planned store opening had been delayed. Their friend Daniel Jack Jason stopped by routinely on his way to the market, waiting for the opening day. Finally, on the morning of March 30th, he spotted that Sandwich Boardout was now open. Proud to be the company's first customer, he selected a pound of Sumatra beans and something else, wrote a check for $5.36, and then stuck around to share a bottle of white wine that another friend brought in. Starbucks was in business now. Each partner took a distinct role in the company management. Barker strategized on ways to publicize the company, Baldwin, who had taken an accounting course in college, became the default money guy. He also had a good palate of coffee and fell easily into the job of tasting and buying. Siegel liked tea and Swan took on that department. In its first years, Starbucks looked nothing like the espresso bars, serving food and beverages that now bears its name. The store sold bulk coffee beans, teas, and spices. With his background in journalism and advertising, Barker knew how to get the attention of reporters. He sent a seductively aromatic package of coffee to influential Seattle Times columnist Dom Duncan, who stopped by the store, got thoroughly caffeinated on free samples, and wrote an enthusiastic story. Alfred Pete notified them that they needed to start roasting their own coffee beans. He helped them locate a used machine and taught Baldwin how to achieve the distinctive dark roast that Starbucks was known for. Starbucks started a subsidiary called Pike Place Teas, imported commercial coffee grinders, and developed a grocery store brand called Blue Anchor. But as time went by, the adjunct businesses didn't pay off. Pike Place Teas had to be closed out at a substantial loss. At the same time, Siegel had to make choices of being a manager in a growing corporation or being a startup guy in Starbucks. In May 1980, Siegel left the company with Baldwin assuming the role of company's president. In 1981, Howard Schultz, a sales representative for Hammerplast, a Swedish company that made kitchen equipment and housewares from which Starbucks bought drip coffee makers, noticed how large the company's orders were, which prompted him to pay it a visit. Schultz was so impressed that he decided to pursue a career at Starbucks, and he was hired as the head of marketing in 1982. Schultz noticed that first time customers sometimes felt uneasy in the stores because of their lack of knowledge about fine coffees. So, he worked with store employees on developing customer friendly sales equipments and produced brochures that made it easy for customers to learn about the company's products. Skull's biggest idea for the future of Starbucks came during the spring of 1983 when the company sent him to Milan to attend an international housewares show. While in Italy, he was impressed with the country's cafes and he thought of doing something similar in Starbucks. However, Baldwin and Boca were not enthusiastic about Skulls' idea, as they did not want Starbucks to deviate much from its traditional model of business. They wanted Starbucks to remain strictly a coffee and equipment seller and not turn into a cafe that served espressos and cappuccinos. In January 1986, Skulls resigned from Starbucks to start his own business, Il Giornale Coffee Company. Starbucks invested $150,000 in cash and services plus half of Bocca's time for a year, giving Starbucks a minimum 20% stake in the venture. Starbucks would supply roasted coffee beans to Il Giornale. In 1987, Barker decided to sell his stake in Starbucks. With the company already stripped out of cash, this put additional pressure on Baldwin. This ultimate pressure on Baldwin pushed him to sell the Starbucks company. Starbucks was for sale and Skulls was quick to purchase the company. He combined all his operations under the Starbucks brand and committed to the cafe concept for the business. with additional sales of beans, equipment, and other items in Starbucks stores. Starbucks grew exponentially first across the nation and then the globe. The company opened 30 stores in 1990, 32 the following year. In June 1992, the company went public by issuing their first initial public offering. At that time, Starbucks had 140 outlets. The 12% portion of the company that was sold raised around $25 million for the company, which enabled it to double its number of stores over the next 2 years. By September 1992, Starbucks share price had risen by 70%. Today, Starbucks is a premier roaster, retailer, and marketer of coffee all around the world. It is one of the most recognizable brands worldwide. Starbucks has approximately 3 lakh employees across 27,339 licensed stores. Through its history, the company has managed to hold one of the leading positions in the market. Starbucks focused on introducing more innovative ways to approach the business. Thus, with this approach, the company managed to take the leading position in the market and from there began to rapidly expand its market. So now let's look into a clip where Howard Skulls explains his journey to Milan.
In 1983, Starbucks had 4 stores that only sold coffee for the home. There was no espresso, there was no beverage, there was no cafe latte, no cappuccino, nothing like that. And I actually came to Milan for the first time. And then I walked into my first coffee bar, and what I saw really was the future of Starbucks. I had just walked in to my home.
Oh, buongiorno. How are you? Fine.
This sense of community, a real sense of connection between the barista and the customer, and obviously the quality and the integrity of the romance of espresso and coffee. Metaphorically, the Italian coffee bar represented a third place between home and work. And Starbucks became literally the third place all over the world. I never really thought we were ready all these years to open in Italy. I didn't think we had earned the right yet. We are not coming here to teach the Italians how to make coffee. No, not at all.
Doppio espresso. Okay.
We're coming here to express our appreciation for what they've done.
Perfetto.
Without the romance of Italian espresso and the Italian people, Starbucks would still be what it was, a beloved local coffee company with 4 stores. I've told people so many times that I must have been Italian at some other point in my history. I come here and I feel home. I come here, I have a deep connection to the Italian people. I can't wait for Starbucks to open our doors in the city of Milan.
I done been around the world, ain't nobody else that could do it like us with nobody help. When the chips about to fall and I back against the wall, know it's only one place I call. All roads lead home.